Wake up now!
Among those who had read the book, a group of boys were hiding in an old attic, protected by covered windows. They did not know the extent of what they had unleashed. They felt a mixture of guilt and terror as they heard the screams coming from outside. He closed his eyes, trying not to imagine what was happening outside, but the images of his parents and neighbors falling under the spell were inescapable.
We need to find a way to undo this.
But how? We don't even know what we started.
He held the book, and the cover now had a dark glow, as if it were alive. While they were debating, the attic was invaded by a strange light. They looked around and realized that the book, when opened, had projected a light that formed symbols in the air. It was a language that none of them recognized. One of them remembered some old stories his grandmother told him and realized that this could be a key. This book may not only have released the curse, but also have the power to reverse it. They needed to act fast before everyone transformed. But there was a problem. The symbols shown in the air were incomplete. To finish them, they would have to find other parts of the book that were scattered around the world, each one kept in a place cursed by the witches. Time was against them. Every minute, more people were turning into zombies. The few survivors who remained were locked in their homes, avoiding looking at the sky. But how long could they hold out? They decided they needed to go out and find the other parts of the book. They knew that the first clue was written at the bottom of the last page of the book they had. The words, in an ancient language, spoke of a forgotten castle in the mountains, where a part of the spell was hidden.
That's it. Let's go there, but we have to prepare ourselves. We don't know what else might be waiting for us.
Now united by terror and determination, they began to plan their journey. They knew the path would be dangerous, with hordes of zombies and other creatures of darkness. But they also knew that the fate of all humanity depended on them. What they didn't know is that somewhere, the witches who wrote the book centuries ago were also awakening. As the boys prepared to leave the attic and embark on their perilous journey, something distant and dark began to stir. Deep in a secluded forest, far from civilization, the witches who had written the book were awakening. Their tombs, guarded by ancient spells, had not been disturbed for centuries. But now, the power they had sealed in the book was spreading across the world, breaking down the barriers that had kept them trapped. In a cold, damp cave, the first of the witches, Morgana, opened her eyes. Her pale, wrinkled skin was beginning to regain a faint glow. Her eyes were two black wells that reflected the red sky that covered the world. She knew that something had changed, that the curse they had created had been awakened by innocent and unprepared hands.
They don't understand what they did, but they will regret it.
She knew that her sisters would awaken as well. Each of them had stored a part of the spell in different places, ensuring that the curse would never be reversed. They needed to stop the boys from finding the remaining parts of the book, because if they did, they could break the spell and restore peace to the world. Meanwhile, the boys began their journey towards the forgotten castle in the mountains, the first location mentioned in the book. The path was winding, and the night seemed darker than it had ever been. The sounds of zombies echoed in the distance, but the boys managed to avoid them by keeping to the shadows and following unfamiliar trails. On the way, they began to discuss what they might find in the castle.
What if it's a trap? The witches must have left more than just a piece of the spell there.
have no choice. If we don't do this, the world will be consumed by this curse. We need to be faster than them.
With each step, the boys felt the weight of responsibility grow. The feeling of being watched grew stronger as they approached the mountains. Finally, after a long walk, they saw the dark silhouette of the castle rising against the horizon. The once majestic castle now lay in ruins, seemingly forgotten for years. As the boys approached, they heard the wind whispering through the stones, as if ancient secrets were being whispered in their ears. One of them, who was carrying the book, noticed that the letters on the last page began to glow slightly. Something inside the castle was calling them. It's here. The first part of the spell is here. As they entered the ruins, the silence seemed overwhelming. They explored dark corridors and abandoned halls until they found a hidden room behind a torn tapestry. In the center of the room, a stone table held an ancient scroll, surrounded by candles that were inexplicably still lit. But when one of them reached out to take the scroll, something cold and dark began to fill the room. A figure emerged from the shadows, his eyes shining.
You are fools to come here.
The boys backed away, frightened. But one of them stepped forward. "We won't let you continue with this curse. We'll undo what we've done." Morgana laughed softly, a sound that made her skin crawl.
Do you think you can? You foolish children, do you think you can defeat centuries of ancient magic? You have only begun what was destined to happen. The moon is red, and the world will fall under our darkness.
One of them, trembling, remembered something he had read in the book. He whispered to his friends. He talks about the only thing that can defeat witches.
We need something. Something that isn't here.
Before the witch could attack, the three boys, in an act of desperation, ran towards the exit with the parchment in hand. They knew they would need to gather all the parts of the spell, but they would also need to find the artifact that could neutralize the witch's power. And this artifact, according to the book, was hidden in a place even more dangerous than the castle, the Bone Catacombs. But the witches were now awake, and the hunt had begun.
Follow them, don't let them escape.
They can't ruin everything.
Go and bring them back before dawn.
Wake up now! May all zombies wake up from their eternal sleep. You awakened us, and now we will dominate the entire world. Keep the spell very well guarded. Don't let them get close. Otherwise, we will return to eternal sleep. The world is ours now. It's time for the dead to come back to life.
They seem to be everywhere.
We have to continue and go after the artifacts to undo the spell.